Mikael Valtersson, military analyst, former officer in the Swedish army. Mikael, what would you do if you were in charge of the Ukrainian forces? What would you order them to do next? They're slowly pushing into Kursk. They can't keep going forever. So what do they have to be aware of, and what would you do next?
The main problem with the Kursk offensive is the very high level of losses that Ukrainian units are having, and they can't continue having such high losses. And they are moving in the open, easy targets from the Russian side, and I think that they have done what they could. They can, of course, take maybe twice the area they have already taken, especially in the west, because there are not many Russian forces there. South of the same river, there are Russian defense line, but if there isn't any good communications, the Russian forces might retreat to the same river. And that would, of course, increase the territory Ukraine controls very much, more than double it. But it won't change the war. And the forces up in the north are sorely needed down in the south. And the most important front is at the Pokrovsk and area, because the Russians have advanced 40 kilometers through densely fortified areas since they took Avdiivka. And they have just 10 kilometers left of fortifications. Then there is open ground, and it can go very fast to move to Dnipro, Zaporozhye, and behind the northwards. So the Ukrainian forces are much more needed in the south. But it's a very good PR stunt, and it creates a lot of goodwill for Ukraine abroad. But they have already achieved that. The best thing they could do now is to slowly retreat and don't send any more reinforcement to the Kursk area. Send them to Pokrovsk and try to stop the Russians.
I see.
While,
I see. So in a nutshell, you're saying cut your losses and withdraw before your losses outweigh the gains that you've made from invading Kursk.
Yes, for the moment, there's a gain for the Ukrainian side, since they have showed that they can take a lot of territory, and they've got a lot of goodwill. But it will not increase, even if they take some more areas. Those that are pro-Ukrainian will say, oh, we are continue advancing, but they won't get anything useful from it. It's much better to stop the Russian offensive.
OK, so let's say the Ukrainians don't do that and they continue to push or even just stay where they are. What do you expect Vladimir Putin to do? And I appreciate that is a harder question, trying to know what he would do.
Yes. I haven't talked with him, but I don't believe that there will be a major Russian push against the Ukrainian forces, because the Ukrainian forces and the Russians are about equal in the Kursk area. So the Russians will continue attacking with artillery, FAB bombs, drones against the Ukrainian positions, and reduce the Ukrainian forces. And they have the best forces there with the best equipment. So they will be tied down. And it might take a couple of months with no changes of the front lines, while the Russians are continuing and taking Selidova, Pokrovsk in the south. And then it will be too late to do anything about it from the Ukrainian side, and the Russians are happy to keep the Ukrainian forces up in the north.
Yeah, really appreciate your thoughts, Mikael, both on what's happening in Ukraine and the US election. You don't know anything about Turkish football, do you? We're going to be talking about that in just a moment, no? Like,
No,
no.
I knew a bit about it in the 90s when I lived in Istanbul, but that was a long time ago.
Long time ago. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Mikael Valtersson there, military analyst, a former officer in the Swedish Armed Forces. Thank you.